The billionaire mother dropped to her knees when her daughter, who had not spoken a single word in almost 5 years, suddenly opened her mouth and whispered a name nobody in the room expected to hear. The little girl had lost her voice after a traumatic event that left her emotionally shattered, and every specialist the family had hired had eventually admitted they could not reach her. But that afternoon, a quiet single father walked into her life, and within minutes, the child was looking at him as if she had known him forever. Her mother had offered him everything she possessed if he could make her daughter speak again. She never imagined that the man standing before her was a former Navy SEAL who understood silence better than anyone. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change a life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a meaningful comment, and subscribe to our channel so you can remain part of our family and our community. Victoria Harrington had spent years trying to buy back a moment that could never be purchased. She was one of the wealthiest women in the country, the CEO of a global medical technology company with offices around the world. Her name appeared in financial magazines, her company funded hospitals, and politicians attended her charity events. But none of that mattered whenever she looked at her 9-year-old daughter, Maisie. 5 years earlier, Maisie had been a cheerful little girl who loved music, animals, and telling endless stories. Then she witnessed a traumatic accident involving someone she loved. Afterward, something inside her seemed to close. She stopped speaking. Doctors found no physical damage to her vocal cords. Specialists called it trauma-related mutism and told Victoria that recovery could take time. Victoria refused to accept uncertainty. She hired speech therapists, psychologists, behavioral specialists, private tutors, and international experts. She built a specialized therapy room inside her mansion. She spent millions searching for an answer. Nothing worked. Maisie communicated through writing, drawings, gestures, and a tablet. She understood everything people said, but she rarely responded. Victoria became obsessed with fixing the problem. She did not realize that Maisie did not need to be fixed. She needed to feel safe. That changed when a single father named Spencer Hale arrived at the Harrington estate. Spencer was 36 and worked as a maintenance contractor for Victoria's company. He repaired equipment, maintained security systems, and handled practical problems that executives never noticed. He was raising his 7-year-old son, Archie, alone after his wife had died from an illness several years earlier. Spencer lived simply. He drove an old truck. He wore inexpensive clothes. He never spoke about money. And he certainly never told anyone about his past. Before becoming a maintenance contractor, Spencer had served as a Navy SEAL. His military career had been filled with dangerous operations, rescue missions, and moments when silence meant survival. He had learned how to observe people carefully, recognize fear without judging it, and remain calm when others were overwhelmed. After leaving the military, Spencer wanted nothing to do with attention. He wanted to be a father. When Victoria's estate needed several security and maintenance upgrades, Spencer was assigned to the project. That was how he first met Maisie. She was sitting alone in the garden beneath a tree, holding a sketchbook. Spencer noticed the drawing from a distance. It showed a little girl standing beside a large black shape. He did not ask what it meant. He simply sat several feet away and began repairing a broken garden lantern. Maisie watched him. Spencer worked quietly. After several minutes, he accidentally dropped a screw. Maisie picked it up. She walked over and placed it in his hand. Spencer smiled and thanked her. She smiled back. It was the first time Victoria had seen her daughter initiate contact with a stranger in months. Victoria watched from the window. She was surprised. Spencer did not talk to Maisie constantly. He did not ask why she was silent. He did not pressure her. He simply gave her space. Over the following days, Maisie began spending more time near him. Spencer brought Archie with him one afternoon. Archie and Maisie immediately became friends through drawings and simple games. Spencer noticed that Maisie communicated most freely when nobody demanded anything from her. He understood something Victoria had forgotten. Silence was not always refusal. Sometimes silence was protection. Spencer began helping Maisie express herself through simple activities. He taught her how to use rhythm, movement, and breathing exercises that he had learned during military training. He never presented himself as a therapist. He simply created moments where she could feel in control. Victoria watched the transformation. For the first time in years, her daughter laughed. Then one afternoon, Victoria made a desperate offer. She told Spencer that if he could somehow help Maisie speak again, she would give him anything he wanted. Money. A house. A new career. Whatever he asked. Spencer refused. He did not want her money. He told her that Maisie was not a problem to be solved for a reward. Victoria was stunned. Nobody had ever spoken to her that way. She was used to people accepting whatever she offered. Spencer simply asked her to stop trying to buy an outcome and start creating safety. Victoria was offended. Then she was angry. Then she realized he might be right. She began changing how she interacted with Maisie. Instead of asking whether she had spoken that day, she asked what she wanted to do. Instead of forcing therapy, she gave her choices. Instead of filling every silence, she learned to sit quietly beside her daughter. For the first time, Victoria began understanding what Maisie had been trying to tell her without words. But progress was not easy. One afternoon, Maisie became overwhelmed when a visitor unexpectedly raised her voice. She ran into the garden and hid behind a tree. Victoria followed. Spencer arrived moments later. He did not chase her. He simply sat nearby. His military instincts told him to reduce the environment, lower the pressure, and wait. Minutes passed. Maisie slowly emerged. She looked at Spencer. Then at her mother. Her lips moved. No sound came. But it was a beginning. Victoria cried. Spencer remained calm. He knew progress could disappear if people turned one small success into a demand. Then came the unexpected crisis. During a bright afternoon charity event at Victoria's estate, Maisie became separated from her mother in the crowded garden. A sudden mechanical failure caused a large decorative gate to swing violently. People panicked. Maisie froze. Spencer saw her. His Navy SEAL training returned instantly. He moved through the crowd, secured the dangerous gate, and guided Maisie away from the chaos. But instead of grabbing her, he used the calming signals they had practiced together. Maisie followed. When the danger passed, Spencer knelt beside her. She was trembling. He waited. Then Maisie suddenly grabbed his hand. Her lips moved again. This time, a sound escaped. It was barely more than a whisper. But it was unmistakable. She said her father's name. Victoria froze. Her daughter had not spoken in nearly 5 years. Now she was speaking. Not because Spencer had performed a miracle. Not because of some secret military technique. Because for the first time, Maisie felt safe enough to use the voice she had been protecting. Victoria collapsed beside her daughter, crying. Maisie reached for her mother's hand too. That moment changed everything. The following months were filled with gradual progress. Maisie began working with specialists again, but this time she participated willingly. She spoke one word. Then another. Sometimes she went days without speaking. Nobody treated those days as failures. Spencer continued helping her build confidence, while Victoria learned how to support her without controlling every step. Spencer's own life began changing too. For years he had believed that leaving the Navy meant leaving behind the strongest version of himself. But helping Maisie taught him that courage did not always involve danger. Sometimes courage meant patience. Sometimes it meant vulnerability. Sometimes it meant sitting beside someone who could not speak and refusing to leave. Victoria eventually learned the full story of Spencer's past. He had left the SEALs after losing a close friend during a rescue mission. The guilt had followed him for years. He had believed that surviving while someone else did not mean he had failed. Maisie's journey helped him understand that survival was not a debt. It was an opportunity. He began speaking openly about his past for the first time. Victoria understood that they had something in common. Both had spent years trying to control pain. Both had believed that if they worked hard enough, they could undo the past. Neither could. But both could choose what happened next. One afternoon, months later, Maisie stood in front of a small group of children at a community center. She was nervous. Victoria sat in the audience. Spencer and Archie sat nearby. Maisie took a breath. Then she spoke. Her voice was quiet and imperfect. But it was hers. She told the children about courage. She told them that being afraid did not mean being weak. She told them that sometimes people needed time before they were ready to speak. Victoria covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Spencer looked toward Archie and smiled. The billionaire mother who had once offered everything she owned for a miracle finally understood that the miracle had never been something money could purchase. It had been patience. It had been trust. It had been love without pressure. Before we reach the ending, please leave a meaningful comment telling us what you believe helped Maisie find her voice again. Was it Spencer's patience, her mother's change, the safety she finally felt, or the combination of all three? Your words might inspire someone in our community who is waiting for their own second chance. A year later, Victoria established a foundation dedicated to helping children affected by trauma and communication disorders. Spencer became one of its mentors, working with families who needed someone to remind them that progress did not always happen quickly. Maisie continued speaking. Sometimes confidently. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes not at all. But nobody measured her worth by how many words she said. One sunny afternoon, Victoria watched Maisie and Archie playing in the garden while Spencer repaired a wooden bench. Maisie ran toward her mother and proudly told her about a drawing she had made. Victoria listened. Not as a billionaire. Not as a CEO. Just as a mother. She realized that for years she had been asking the wrong question. She had asked, "How can I make my daughter speak?" Now she understood the better question. How can I make my daughter feel safe enough to speak when she is ready? Spencer had not magically cured Maisie. He had given her something far more important. Time. Trust. And the belief that her silence did not make her broken. The former Navy SEAL who had once learned to survive in the most dangerous places had discovered that his greatest act of courage was helping a little girl find her way back to her own voice. And the billionaire who thought she could buy anything finally learned that the most precious things in life cannot be purchased. A child's trust. A parent's forgiveness. A second chance. And the quiet miracle of hearing someone you love speak again. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey.